Meeting to order. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Live print materials are available upon advance request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI/non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is posted in this meeting room and is available on the Oconee Planning Council website. Again, please contact Mary Walden at 508-583-1833 for more information, and thank you. And roll call?
Great. Co-chair Noreen O'Toole,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Co-chair Rhonda Nyman,
Yes,
Present?
thank you.
present,
Valerie Massard
present,
and Yolanda Spinola,
Present.
thank you. And Madam Chairs, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4 is to review the minutes from September 2024 legislative meeting. And is there a motion on the floor?
I'll move it.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
Noreen, did you say September meeting minutes?
February.
Oh, okay,
I think you did say September, but
Did
that's
I?
okay.
Okay,
The tape,
that's-
don't worry, the February.
Jeez,
so if
We
it's
knew-
February,
thinking ahead.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Well, we're gonna do a
Okay,
roll call.
roll call.
Noreen O'Toole,
Yes.
Rhonda Nyman,
Yes,
Valerie Massard,
yes,
and Yolanda Spinola. That is unanimous.
And motion carries. Item number 5, which is discuss legislative priorities.
So,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, Madam Co-Chairs, Megan and I met with both, just Rhonda and, Noreen, sorry, just to kind of get a sense of, like, we were all feeling a little bit, inundated by so many legislative priorities. And, and I know many of you, Val and Yolanda, yourself had said, let's go split them up. There literally are thousands of them, literally thousands of them. So from the discussion with the two co-chairs, I get from the Mass Association of Regional Planning Agency, the priorities. And I believe I shared them once with what has been passed with Joint Rule 10, and what has remained on the plate, or remained in committee, if you will. As Rhonda and others do know, it can be overwhelming. So if we're gonna put any efforts, I think the idea was, which is kind of getting into the next level, was really to be focused on meeting with our legislators, and inviting the stakeholders to come. And that's kind of where the discussion, I think, that we are right now. I think that what happens is that there are things on, the Hill, whether it's having to do with, let's call it the elephant in the room, right? What do you call them? MBTA communities, that takes up a lot of space and room for our communities. Or it could be just as simply as that we be supportive of hybrid meetings, to continue because of the productivity that's happening. So it's a wide range. And just because we're heading into our budget season and we've had the retreat, there was a lot of the staff time was being spent on that, and quite honestly, never really got around to coming up with a listing of all the legislative priorities. So we thought maybe we start focusing on a legislative breakfast and then continue to grow the committee from there. And that's kind of the discussion where I thought I'd leave both to you and Rhonda and the other members.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense, because I was looking at, like, just going through the binder and going through just some of the bills, and it's pretty difficult for our small committee to decide on, what would be the best way to focus on for the region without the, professional staff of OCPC. And Rhonda and I had spoken of that at the last meeting. How many priorities do you have? Do you have 4? Do you have 10? What are the important priorities? It's difficult stuff. Rhonda, did you want to add something to that?
No, you're both spot on, honestly, and,
Yeah.
I agree, and I just, try to come up with that number. That's gonna be a daunting task. I don't know, in years past, Mary, maybe you would know, like, or it hasn't been a while since you've had a legislative committee, like, what would be a good number? And,
Yeah.
I think you would know best. I mean, the MBTA communities, I know that's kind of a hot button issue. I think that should be one that, that affects all the communities, I think, that we're dealing with. So, but I don't know how far and how much, because, you guys, you know what's most important, I think, Mary.
Well, we do hear quite a bit, and I think this is, so there has never been a legislative committee before for
Oh.
this organization.
Oh, okay.
Never, but that came with Pat Chiamella and working with legislators on priorities, but my understanding in talking with Pat recently is that those priorities really came from the Mass Association of Regional Planning Agencies. So, again, this is a new frontier for us, and I again, without having to detour any one member for having an interest in pursuing, but I know, Val, for years, this has been a committee and some interest that you've had, and we just as a staff alone can't do it, but it's a lot to maintain. It's almost like a full-time job for a staff person, and we don't really have that. So
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why we have Paul Amano on this, because Paul is also dealing with grants and the grant and working on that. And some of that comes from legislation that may be available as well. So those are hot topic, and Paul still gets a lot of the notices from Mass DOR as well as from ANF. So, if I think if we move along and, as things come up, and maybe if the idea was not to be spending too many hours a month on legislation, but again, if this committee feels so, then we really need to kind of then internally think about how we're gonna allocate some staff time.
I know with MAPC, a lot of times they'll just give like updates on where bills are that are really current and relevant. Like I just
Yeah.
down DAPA's tracking of the housing bond bill. And
Yeah.
this, that would be something that would be worth sharing with the members in case they're interested in tracking.
Val, that's a really great point, because I get those as well. CHAPA, MAPC, the Mass Municipal Association, right? Perhaps even if we gather all those updates as they're coming through, to your point, and share it with the committee. And then if there's something that this legislative committee feels that needs to be highlighted at a council meeting, then we can. Or here's some links for any council member to sign up for these notification as well. To some degree, sometimes, right? I know I get like about 10 different MAPC newsletters, but it's whether the arts and cultural or whether it's this legislative, but I think that's a really great idea to streamline this and not, neglect what we are looking to do in the beginning, is keeping track of these legislative priorities. So we
Makes
can
great sense.
do that, and what I would recommend, Val, if so I get CHAPA, and maybe I look for others on this. If you feel that there's some newsletters that you're getting, we can send it to me, and then what we'll do is we'll combine them and send it out to the committee members.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes it's a change in like, oh, by the way, FEMA's gonna come out with their new flood zoning maps or so it comes sources like you said, and I think just getting a heads up that X, Y, and Z is happening is helpful for the municipal community to just, oh, okay, I didn't even know that was happening. Like, So, DEP, those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And those are all doable, right? It's taking a cut and paste and putting it in,
Right.
a document to share with all of you.
Yeah.
And if this committee feels like, hey, Mary, or to Megan, I know Megan's on, hey, listen, we really should get this highlighted out to our membership. That's, we'll put it into the newsletter and we'll
Right.
send it to the delegates, so.
Okay. How about MMA? Is that too much? Is that too broad?
No, I get those as well.
Mhm.
My shoulders are dropping because I feel a little bit of that weight now off my plate in terms of, how we can still manage what legislative, I don't want to ignore it. Again, one of the purposes when this was created was because I feel that we're always knee-jerk reaction to,
Mm.
hey, legislators, you have 3 days to respond and support
Right.
this legislation. I hate that.
Mhm.
Even
I
if the
think- Go ahead.
Google location or something where we put the newsletters, so
Yeah,
members could, if they wanted to track or see what
They can
What
read
we're-
them themselves.
uh,
Yeah,
Mhm.
good
Easy.
idea.
when they can click through to get more information if they're interested, but we don't have to do much more than that. It's a
that's,
clearinghouse, a one-stop place to go. Oh,
Mhm.
okay, I know about that. I don't care about this.
that's perfect.
It is. Great idea, Val, too,
Mm.
to just look at all those organizations.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Because they're, bringing up current stuff all the time, and
yeah.
as Rhonda said, MMA, the Beacon,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just send, send them the link.
Yeah.
And if someone's interested, they'll read it. For sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Right, like the
So-
muni bill, that
Yes,
affects all
right.
municipalities,
Something like
but
that,
that could
right.
take a long time to just go through all of that and,
That
Uh-huh.
is-
but there's like one, so I know, where do we begin, right?
I think that was the first thing I did was take the muni bill and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness gracious, there's so much in there.
Yeah.
I know.
So Madam Chairs and members, that's what we'll do. We'll, put it in to the council members' Google Drive and we'll take it from there.
Great ideas.
Cool.
Did you wanna,
Someone was saying something.
go ahead.
Okay.
And maybe, kind of talk a little about the legislative breakfast too, where we're gonna go with that.
So that is the next item, and when the two co-chairs, when we were chatting, I didn't want to go any further
Right.
until we brought everybody else
Right.
back in, because we started talking about dates and said, we can't do that yet. But the idea is, in fact, to do something soon, because what we've always have done is, oop, did we lose? Okay, no, what we have done in the past, every legislator gets invited to our stakeholder meeting, and they get invited to our, the summit, and they get invited to our annual meeting. So like, there's a lot what people get invited to. The challenge is that, as with all of you busy lives, so with that, we're thinking about just having an OCPC legislative breakfast, someplace centrally located, and working with the legislative aides as to when's the best day. I think we had, I didn't bring my notes
have-
with me, but
I have it. That's what I was pulling up.
thank you,
So-
Megan.
June 7th is what we proposed
And it was like a morning, right, well.
at
yeah.
8:30. Yeah. So Friday we said was usually best.
Yes. Mhm.
Just wanted to get input from both Val and Yolanda before we bring this up to the council members.
What was the time again, Megan?
8:30 in
8:30,
the
okay.
morning.
I like Friday mornings. I think that's great.
Hmm.
And we would do it hybrid for those that couldn't make it in person to have it be available. So it'd be council members and legislative delegation from across the region. Short program, because I know for most of the ones I go to, there's, they're a little elongated sometimes. I think it's to the point that now by it being in June, it gives us some time to talk about priorities for each of our areas, area agency on aging, the planning, the economic development and transportation. We do that a lot with our monthly staff report as well, what's priorities. But it will go through this committee. And it would be the two co-chairs as well as the committee members to be like the moderators and if you will, of like doing presentations. And again, most of it's gonna be dialogue with them, but that's kind of, it's, I don't wanna say that this is a walk in the park, but we would have some boards be made. And then to have you all be there to provide the priorities.
Yeah, and I think it's good too to ask the reps what they're seeing is a hot button, because they'll often be able to tell you what they think should be on, and then it could be kind of a little bit of back and forth to narrow the, the top three maybe to keep it reasonable time.
Right.
And then a breakout, people can chat on stuff that doesn't get addressed in the bigger group.
I think
That's-
that makes,
Yeah. Great idea.
I agree. One question I had is if you all have checked with like the calendars connected to the legislators.
so
if-
that's that's my next move, Yolanda, where Bert didn't want to give any date out until you first saw that and with your schedules. And then what next I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
okay.
send an email out to all the legislative aides and saying we're proposing, we probably should put draft
Yeah.
throughout this, Megan. So before we send anything out, just to check with the legislators.
Yeah, I
Sounds-
had Elise make this morning really quickly, so we can definitely make any amendments that need to be done.
And so,
Okay.
we should have that confirmed before the council meeting next week with the legislative aides.
That's great. Yeah, that
Yeah.
time works and day works for me.
Me too.
This is great, perfect. And then again, the location will be something like, we do a lot, I want to say this way. But we've been going more to Pembroke, Hanson, that area, so we'll just look for places to do this. Yeah, but I think so the takeaways are checking with the legislative aides about the date and the time, as well as to ask them what they see as priorities. And then before we hold this, we will send them along our priorities, and that won't be sent to them without vetting it through throughout all of you. We probably won't have, well, we may need to call another meeting before June, just so we're all on the same
Right.
page and running through a proposed PowerPoint.
Mhm.
But I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I think that's our intention is, and this will be a first, I think, and I don't know, who's been on for the longest time here? Maybe Val, I think you're probably the longest serving so far. Has there been a legislative?
Wow.
like a breakfast?
It's been a long time. I think we used to do it when Vinnie DiMacedo was really active. So,
Okay.
there definitely used to be many, many years ago, but
And I think the last one was when Claire Cronin was chair of the judiciary, and she came before the council. It was during COVID. And like all these legislators showed up as well, which was, again, nice to see, but it was all virtual, so. That, we have our work to do. We'll vet this date out and then get that shared for reporting out at the council meeting
Mhm.
next week. With the save the date and the discussion from today's meeting. And then we'll look probably to, maybe can we do this before, can I ask just before we go out, it may make some sense for us just to look at a calendar in May. So we can set the next meeting before.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just will save us for everyone.
Yeah, pick the
Sure.
next date. Makes sense.
So our next council meeting in May is going to be on the 29th. So I'm thinking of maybe the week before. we'll have everything wrapped up by then.
Yeah.
And this
If you
time, anytime, go, I'm sorry,
Oh, sorry, the 22nd, Mary, May 22nd?
that can work for me. Any
Is
others?
that what you're thinking? A week out or?
Idea? Either, anytime that week, the 22nd and 3:30, usually works just for Rhonda because,
I'm
of
out
her
of
time
work.
schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Thank
you
you,
for-
thank you.
No, that's,
Val, what was that?
The 21st?
Either 21st or 22nd, I don't know what,
Yeah,
Let's
both
see.
days work for me.
I can't do
Me
the
too.
20.
you can't do which date, Val?
22nd.
Okay, 21st?
21st.
Rhonda, could you check your schedule?
I can do the 21st.
Great.
So it's May 21st, we'll regroup, we'll have,
Did you get your Linda?
oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, no, he's-
Yep, yep.
Okay,
So we'll do the 21st, 3:30, hybrid, and at that point, you'll have in advance, we'll send it out to you in advance, a sample kind of a program and quick PowerPoint presentation that to invite all of you to be as part of the program
okay, great.
with an opening from Becky Coletta.
There you go.
All right,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
think
you.
that's it.
That was
All
easy.
right. Boy, these are the meetings, right, that we like. I appreciate all the great suggestions. Those were
Yeah,
great. So
you were great.
thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Appreciate
you.
it. Enjoy your day,
Do we
y'all.
need to do an official adjournment?
Oh, one of you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Okay, we can wave.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
see you next
everybody.
time.
See
Thank
ya.
you.